On this week's edition of Mocs News, we take a look at the current edition of the Echo.
We look at UTC's rendition of LMNOP.
And we look at what's been going on around the campus. I'm Shane Perry.
And I'm Heidi Brightman. Your news starts now.
We have new information on the defaced Black History Month signs. That incident happened last week when inflammatory flyers were pasted on the signs. The flyers featured an image of Hitler with the words, "Hitler was right," underneath. Mocs News has obtained the police report on the incident. We now know that an unidentified worker from the bursar's office discovered the two signs near Heritage Plaza in the morning on February 8th. A UTC housing employee pulled up the signs and then took them to the police.
Words Vanguard America appeared on the flyers. That's a white supremacist organization. Mocs News contacted Vanguard America for comment about the incident. A representative denied any knowledge of the event.
The Perch hosted a discussion about the vandalization of the Black History Month signs. The show aired on Valentine's Day at 5 o'clock as the host talked about the disturbing posters. The show was to make students aware of the incident and the displeasure of UTC officials.
UTC police are investigating a report of burglary at Johnson O'Bear Apartments. That burglary reportedly happened Thursday night. Police say someone got into an unlocked apartment and stole 2 gaming consoles. Please contact the UTC police at 423-425-4357 if you have any information about this crime.
UTC is also currently investigating a case of aggravated assault. The crime took place Tuesday evening near the Gary Apartments on campus. The suspect was described as an African-American male in his 50s with an average build. He was last seen heading towards Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. If you have any information recording the suspect, please contact UTC PD.
The Echo is UTC's student-led newspaper that comes out every 2 weeks. Today we have a look on what is in the current edition of the Echo with their editor-in-chief.
So this week's edition, we had our main story was about the Black History Month vandalism. We kind of dived into how students stepped up in that situation, including an interview with Alan DeBerry, who was the student who actually called Channel 9 and told them about the situation. And then they came on campus and did like a stand-up interview with him. And on top of that, we're touching on the God the Mother situation, but we actually found out that the allegations were false due to social media. So we kind of touched on that, figured out the fact that that was false, and kind of touched on police reports that were verifying that it was false. So those are our 2 main news stories. Sports-wise, we did a story on Coach Foster's 900th win. We sat down with him and he talked about how his coaching career is more than just 900 wins, how it's more about kind of touching on his players' lives, kind of influencing how they kind of grow and develop. So it's kind of good to talk to him about figuring out it's not just all about the wins, it's more about the relationships and all the stuff that comes with coaching. And then we did a lot on Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day is coming up. We did a few opinion pieces, a few feature stories on different Valentine's Day oriented topics. So pretty much there's a big variety of stuff from the Echo this week, but we try to touch on pretty much everything that's going on campus right now.
You can pick up the Echo all around campus. Just look for the newspaper stands near the inside of the entrances of most buildings. But if you cannot find one, you can go to the UTCecho.com. The UTC Theater Department wraps up their showing of LMNOP this weekend.
That's right. And the show has an interesting story behind it. Let's check it out.
We need to hear, see, feel, express, know more about women on stage, in film, etc. I read this play in an anthology, and this play was originally produced in 2011. It's written by a woman named Molly Smith Metzler. Molly writes for TV as well. She writes some for Orange is the New Black and Shameless on Showtime. And I read it, and it had 3 really strong, complex female characters. It is a comedy, but it's tackling some pretty challenging themes, and I just was drawn to that challenge, and I felt it was important that we see women who are seen in all the ways they make decisions, because just when you think you know who somebody is, the playwright reveals something else about them, and it throws your preconceived notion out the door. The playwright had done a major rewrite of the script since the 2011 production. So I just went on Facebook and found the playwright and sent her a message. Would you possibly let us look at your rewrites? And she responded within a day and said, absolutely, I'll send them. And she sent us her revised script. I mean, this is the unpublished version of her script that she's allowing us to do, that she rewrote. And I can't remember exactly what her email note to me was, but it was something of the effect of, I think you'll like this version better. It just took me 6 years to get it right.
Get your pencils and snaps ready. Poetry Night is soon upon us. The Department of Modern and Classical Language and Literature is hosting its 5th annual Poetry Night. Ray Zimmerman, a local poet and nonfiction writer, will be reading one of his works at the event. All students are invited and encouraged to submit pieces for the completion, and 2 winners will receive an Amazon gift card. The submissions can be in either English or any language currently taught by UTC. The event will take place March 6th at Brock Hall.
It sure has been a rainy week, hasn't it?
You are absolutely right, Shane. Our Brandon Robinson has us covered like the clouds in this week's weather segment.
That's right. Expect to see sunshine and rain for the next week. On Friday, we will have a high of 60 and a low of 58 with an 80% chance of rain. On Saturday, we will dip down to 53 with a low of 44 and a 90% chance of rain. Sunday will warm back up to 64 and a low of 42 with only a 20% chance of rain. The weather will continue to warm up into the high 60s and low 70s with the lows reaching to the mid 50s and chances of scattered showers. So make sure to keep a raincoat nearby and enjoy the warmer weather. Back to the news desk.
They say, dance to the beat of your own drum. As a part of Black History Month, students got the opportunity to learn a traditional African dance. Kofi Mawuko, a native of Ghana, taught a handful of students the traditional dance known as the Gom dance. The dance is performed with a traditional African drum, and students learn the dance beat by beat, and by the end knew every step by heart. Make sure to see what other Black History Month events are still to come.
The weather wasn't the only dreary part of this week.
That's right, Heidi. In This Week in Sports, we take a look at the floundering basketball teams, the Olympics, and more with Jolie Poole.
Thanks, guys. The U.S. has won 7 medals so far in the 2018 Winter Olympics, which 4 of them are gold medals. For women's snowboarding, we have Chloe Kim, age 17, who won a gold in the women's halfpipe final with a score of 98.25. Jamie Anderson, age 27, won a gold medal in the women's SS final with an ending score of 83. In men's snowboarding, we have Redmond Gerard, age 17, who won a gold in the men's SS final and finished with an outstanding score of 87.16. Lastly, Sean White, age 31, won another gold medal to add to his collection in the men's halfpipe final with a final score of 97.75. Congratulations to these wonderful athletes. Chattanooga men's basketball regular season is almost finished, and the Mocs are at the bottom of the SoCon ranks. Our Abby Walker has all the details.
Mocs versus Mercer last Saturday ended in a Chattanooga loss 84-85. Mercer started out quick on the Mocs with a 10-point lead at the half. Sophomore Rodney Chapman led the game with 24 points total, 16 of those in the second half. It was not enough, however, as Mercer rallied with a 12-2 run to finish the game. Then the Mocs traveled to South Carolina, where they met a tough matchup with Furman. In a scoring drought, the Mocs came away with a loss 56-75. With only 3 games left in regular season, they look for redemption in their final home match of the season against Wofford this Saturday. It is senior night, and they will recognize their lone senior Josh Phillips during the intermission between games. Count on us to keep you updated as the Mocs gear up for tournament season. I'm Abby Walker with Mocs News Sports.
The Lady Mocs let a huge lead slip away in Saturday's game against ETSU after being up by over 15 points in the third quarter. The Buccaneers stopped playing their aggressive defense and started playing a more conservative style, which led to a furious comeback for ETSU. The Mocs seemed to run out of steam sometime in the second half and ended up losing the game 61-55.
The Lady Mocs let a huge lead slip away in Saturday's game against ETSU. After being up by over 15 points in the third quarter, the Buccaneers stopped playing their aggressive defense and started playing a more conservative style, which led to a furious comeback for ETSU. The Mocs seemed to run out of steam sometime in the second half and ended up losing the game 61-55. Things didn't get much better for the next Thursday as UTC lost another game, this time in a low-scoring match against Furman. The Mocs struggled with turnovers and fouls as the game slowed to an unbearable grind. Despite jumping out to a quick 10-2 lead in the first quarter, the Lady Mocs saw their lead slip away in the second quarter. UTC ended up losing 50-45. The Mocs look to get back on track against Wofford on Saturday. This has been Emily Edwards with Mocs News Sports.
Against Furman. The Mocs struggled with turnovers and fouls, and as the game slowed to an unbearable grind, despite jumping out of a quick 10-2 lead in the first quarter, the Lady Mocs saw that margin whittled away in the second quarter. The Mocs ended up losing 50-45. The Mocs look to get back on track against Wofford on Saturday. Tennis season is underway and serving up wins. The Mocs flew past the UT Martin Skyhawks in their 6-1 victory on Saturday. The 4-1 UTC tennis team won doubles by taking the top 2 spots and then proceeded to win each of their first 6 sets in singles. UTC closed out the day when transfer student Andy Tarwater got her first win as a UTC Mocs. The tennis team hopes to keep the good times rolling against Presbyterian on Saturday. And that's all for this rather disappointing week in sports. Now back to Heidi and Shane.
Well, you know, this week's been full of news.
That's right, and tragic news at that. Our Jackson Vermullen is here to tell us what's going on.
Thanks, guys. Unfortunately, we start on a tragedy. A mass shooting occurred at a Florida high school Wednesday, killing 17 and injuring 20 more. The shooting happened at Parkland's Stoneman Douglas High, where Nicholas Cruz pulled a fire alarm, luring students into the hallways before opening fire with an AR-15 gun. Cruz attended Douglas before being expelled due to disciplinary actions. Cruz is in solitary confinement and is also on a suicide watch. He is charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder and is currently being held without bond. Stay tuned to Mocs News as we continue to follow this story. It's been almost 5 months since Puerto Rico was decimated by Hurricane Maria, and approximately 20% of the island is still without power, which has caused hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans to head for mainland. However, the U.S. territory has received proposals from companies like Tesla and Solomon to help transform the energy grid that was all but destroyed by the storm. The country is close to submitting a revised physical plan and hopes to finalize it to submit it by Monday. Speaking of physical plans, President Trump is looking to make more budget cuts. And a 2019 budget proposal was released Monday and had a large boost of funding towards mental health resources. However, the budget slashes spending for substance abuse and the National Institute of Mental Health. This measure all but eliminates legislation signed into law by President Obama in 2010 following the massacre of Sandy Hook. After the events of Wednesday, President Trump says he plans to discuss mental health problems within the coming weeks. Ending on a brighter note, Marvel's Black Panther opens up nationwide today and is on pace to make an estimated $25 million in its opening weekend, which would tie with Captain America: Civil War and nibbling at the heels of Avengers: Age of Ultron. Currently, Black Panther has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, with it being the highest rated movie in Marvel Cinematic Universe. So check your local movie times and get out the big screen. That will do it for this edition of World News. We will see you next week and give you the goings on around the world.
The Chattanooga City Council will formally approve a memorial to honor the fallen 5 who gave their lives for the city on July 16, 2015 during an attack on the Naval Operations Support Center in Chattanooga.
That's right. This week's local artist Norman Lee and Shane Albritton's design was presented on the upcoming City Council agenda. The monument will be placed near the site of the shooting. The memorial will feature 5 pillars arranged in a circle. The vote will happen February 27th.
That does it for this edition of Mocs News. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to check out our website, mocsnews.com, to continue following the news throughout the week.
And while you are there, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great weekend from all of us here at Mocs News.